Hey, what's up? Good morning. Hey, thanks for joining me today for the Enlightenment program here on Facebook Live. Guys, I want to I'm so elated this morning because this is a preview of what I'm gonna be talking about today. I got to speak at a church, and so the title that I've chosen is Be the Change. Be the Change. And I wasn't going to come on, but I felt like I wanted to come on almost to do somewhat of a talk through, a run through, so I wanted to just kind of see how some of it may flow out. But I've been talking about change. I think if you've listened to any of these broadcasts, if you're part of our ministry at our church, Next Level, change was the theme of January, but change is the overall theme, because when I started changing myself, looking at, okay, who am I? That's a question you got to ask. Who am I? I realized that who I thought I was, I needed to change. But then you always ask a question of, well, how do I change? That's when the text, what's in the word kind of comes out and says, okay, if you use this, then it'll work. And so the text we used all of January was Romans 12:2. That's the text I'm using today. And so the clear word says, don't pattern your life after this world, but let God transform you from the inside out. That's what it says. Don't pattern your life after this world, but let God transform you from the inside out and give you a new way of thinking. Now, the other version, King James says, do not conform to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. So when you're talking about being the change, not changing, but being the change, it's kind of like, stepping outside on faith, stepping outside of what's normal, what everyone else is doing, and deciding for yourself, this is who I'm going to be. And no one's going to stop me from doing what I know that I should be. Because when I ask the question, who am I? The question will be answered. And you will realize that, man, I've been living small. I've been living too small. Why have I lived so small in my life? Why did I live so small in my life? I know why. I never planned how I would live. Only thing I planned for, and maybe you did the same thing. The only thing I planned for, well, I knew I had to go to school, which was high school, well, elementary, high school. Then I realized that, well, I was told that, well, if you go to college, that would prepare you to have, get a good job, and then you'd be able to, I guess get married, buy a house, maybe you have enough money to take care of yourself. And so I never really asked any questions, but is school really going to provide all these things? Is school really going to give me the best? Is school really going to allow me to have everything that I want so that I can do the work that I know that I should do? But I didn't know that there was any work I had to do outside of graduating from school and then doing or becoming, saying that I'm an accountant, and then living off of that. Now, on this page, I'm referenced as the healthy accountant. That's one of the terms, I would say, terms that you can describe me. The healthy accountant, physically, mentally, financially, relationally, in my health, all of those healths. I'm the healthy accountant. But the thing was, I said I was the healthy accountant before I was fully healthy. I'm still working on my health. When I say I'm working on my health, there's a lot of health because there's a lot of opportunities. Think about the opportunities that you have in your life right now. You may even call those problems. Opportunities are areas in which you're probably having a problem with. And if you were to now look at them as an opportunity, give yourself oh, wow, I've got an opportunity to be rich. You've got an opportunity to be rich because you're probably not rich. And if you're not rich, you have an opportunity to be rich. Then it's, well, man, how or what value do I need to bring to the world to be rich? Hey, man, you got to be the change. You have to be everything that you see for yourself. You have to be everything that, maybe someone else is thinking about doing, but they need someone to look up to. They need someone who has the wherewithal because they have experienced it already. You got to be the change. Well, maybe it's in your relationships, or your marriage is falling apart. You can't seem to get married. All the relationships that you've had seem to just not work. You've got an opportunity because there's some opportunities there for you to grow. See, anytime you have a situation, we're going to call them opportunities. That's a cue. That's a cue. God's sending you a cue. Life is sending you a cue that says, hey, man, Jay, you've got to grow in this area. You've got to grow. I remember when I was overweight, 30 pounds, almost 40 pounds. That was an area for me to grow. Smaller. That was an area for me to say, well, wait a second. If I were to keep doing this, I think I was, at the time, I might have been 38. 38. I probably was about 38 and a half, almost 39. Because by the time I turned 40, I had gotten my body, back to a normal state. It was an opportunity for me to get my body to start feeling the way that it felt when I was younger. But here's the thing. Here's what I didn't know back then. Your state of mind is the most important thing when you're dealing with these opportunities. See, in Proverbs 23:7, it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. As a man thinketh in his heart, deep down. That's not on the surface. That's not me. Hey, well, this is what I believe. No. That's not what as a man thinketh in his heart means. As a man thinketh in his heart means, the results that you and I receive, that's a result of how we think and what's deep down in our hearts. I'm gonna tell you, this could be a painful one for you. It was painful for me to realize that, wow, my results don't mirror what I want. My results are actually stating where my opportunities are and where I need to grow. But maybe you've had problems. Maybe you've had problems at church or work. Well, let's talk about work first. Maybe you have problems at work. Think about the problems that you may be having at work. Maybe you can't get along with people. That's an area. You know what I realized? I realized that if I were to expect the best from everything, if I were to look at every situation, I'm talking about me. If I were to look at every situation in a positive way, even when it's bad, even when things are not looking good, if I were to find a positive, something that I can pull from it and say, you know what? I can grow from this. Most people, if someone doesn't like someone, you know what? Just because everyone doesn't like this person doesn't mean I have to feel that way. I can just say, you know what? Hey, man, this person is nice. Maybe they're misunderstood. Maybe I should listen to them one day. Maybe if they're venting and, they're having a bad day, encourage them. Do something that would help. Be the change. See, you got to be the change. You can't be involved in situations and then you become a part of the P word, the problem. You become a part of the problem. What I realize is that you can't even talk about situations. I had a conversation recently and I realized I shouldn't have been in this conversation. Here's why. Because the conversation, it was a good conversation, but it was more negative than good. See, that's the thing. When people will engage you to start talking to you about stuff that may not have any value, long term because it wasn't positive. See, we are looking to be the change. And if I'm looking to be the change, I don't have to point out how bad you are. Now, here's the thing. I don't have to point it out. You'll point it out. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how you should look at something. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show it to you in a way that you're going to, some people, you may not like it. Now, you might not like it. You may even reject it. But you know what? I'm still going to show you. But I'm not going to stoop down to a negative situation. I'm just going to show you through action what I believe and what I know. That's the thing. Be the change. What about your church? What opportunities lie right inside your church? What? There's got to be some opportunities there. There's things going on in your church. I can guarantee you there's things in mine. I realized that I would be the change. That's where this comes from. This comes from a problem that I saw. An opportunity that I saw at church. I saw an opportunity at church to be different. I saw an opportunity that if I were to think this way, no one else is thinking that way. Man, that's the way I'm going to go. If I were to be positive in every situation, then, that's going to make it better for me. If I'm going to, not be in a disagreeable state all the time with people, then that's going to be better for me, because then I could take time to focus on what matters. You know what? And at the end of the day, what matters is first the well-being that I have to establish inside myself. See, if you don't establish a good well-being inside yourself, if you don't establish a good way of thinking inside yourself, then those opportunities are going to be missed. And you're just going to stay in an endless cycle of negative feedback. Negative feedback is basically when something seems to stay the same and you can't seem to stop it. You say, man, keep having this situation. I can't see, it won't seem to go away because you're in that loop, and the loop just keeps going around and round and round. Some people just don't want to change. Some people don't want to change. But there's a lot of opportunities that you could focus on, that you could be the change, and not point the finger and not worry about whether or not someone else is going to change or someone else is going to do something. I say today, you choose to be the change. But here's the thing. To face change, you're going to need to think a certain way. About 2 months ago, I think, maybe 2 months, I did a broadcast, and it was about opposite thinking. It was about thinking opposite to what's normal. And I took that out of the verse in Matthew when Jesus talked about the narrow way and how wide is the gate of destruction, but narrow is the way to life. What that's saying is that you're going to have to let go. You're going to have to shed so many things in order to think a certain way, so that you have the opportunity to focus on those things that we just talked about. See, because if you don't change how you think, you won't be the change. So you can't point the finger and say, hey, you know what? You've got to do this. No, you've got to be. You've got to be the change. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I want to bring to your attention. Paul said it best in Philippians. In Philippians 3:12 and 14, he talks about how you should forget the past. You got to forget the past, guys. See, because it's nothing like talking to somebody that's always reminiscing about the past. They're always saying, man, I remember when we was young and we had so much fun. Or I remember when we was out and we was doing the thing and we was doing those things, and those things I don't even want to talk about anymore. But they're talking about them. They haven't forgotten the past. They are stuck in a loop. See, they would have a problem being the change because they're constantly thinking and living, reliving. They're bringing the past to life. See, you got to forget the past. You got to press toward. You got to press toward the mark. You've got to move forward to where you know you should be. See, God said, I know the plans I have for you in Jeremiah 29:11. He says, I know the plans I have for you to prosper you, to bring you hope, not to bring any harm to you. See, this is, so if he knows the plans for you, he was bringing this from his prophet Jeremiah. If he knows his plans for you, to prosper you, to take you to the next level, then you know you got to change how you think. You got to think a certain way. See, changing requires a different way to think. You've got to change how you think about change. Man, think about this. You got to change how you think about change. I'm going to go all the way back to Genesis right now. Genesis 2, 4, and 5. And before there was the earth, before there was a created earth with flourishing grass and trees, there was nothing. And God realized that there was nothing, but he was not going to allow the rain to come, which is the dew to come up from the ground to basically make the grass grow and the trees to form. He wasn't going to do that until he had someone to take care of everything. And so he changed the world by deciding he would find somebody to handle it for him. See, he says, you know what? I've got plenty to do. I need someone to take care of this right here. See, God's all ready to change. See, God has decided that change, he doesn't change. Now, God does not change. There's two things that doesn't change. God doesn't change. My notes. God doesn't change. And the times and the seasons won't change. See, in the Ecclesiastes, he promised change. He promised that, hey man, for everything there's a time. For every purpose there's a time. So if there's a time for everything, that means that most things are going to change. He also talks about the seasons. There's a season of winter. There's a season of spring. There's summer and there's fall. So think about it. Every year they come. Now, but they're literal, meaning you could be in winter in your life, but you know what? After winter comes what? Spring. After winter is spring. So after winter is spring, which means that things grow in the spring. This summer, just, oh my goodness, and fall. See, these are seasons. Never changed because God doesn't change. But here's the thing. You've got to change. See, you've got to change because if you don't change, then nothing will change around you. See, that's the thing. You've got to change for everything to change. So why not be the change? Why not be the catalyst that people are talking about? Why not be the catalyst that people will remember? Like, what are you going to be remembered for? Who's going to remember you in 50 years when you're gone, or 100 years? Are they going to say, man, that guy Jay Moore, he left us. He's gone, but you know what? The books that he wrote. That guy Jay Moore, those videos that he left. That guy Jay Moore, all of the programs that he created and, the lessons that he gave. Man, I'm so thankful that he lived. But the thing about living is that at one point, you're dead. I was dead in my life. See, I was dead in my life in 2011. I was dead. I was totally dead. Totally dead. I was not living. I was just passing the time for when my time would come and then I would go away. I had no aspirations. Do you have aspirations? Do you have big dreams and goals? Because if you do, If you've ever had them, that means that, see, God placed those inside you. God wants you to take those dreams and goals, and he wants you to make a plan. See, because planning is the highest level of faith. And if planning is the highest level of faith, then that means that if you've planned before and you've achieved your plan, then your plan was too small. So you've got to, yeah, you want to have some wins, but you got to have a plan that's so big that you're constantly working. But this does not require you to have a job. See, jobs require you to leave them. Jobs require you to retire, but work requires you to stay doing it. That's why God created Adam. He created Adam to work, to stay focused on what he gave him. Have you focused in on what God's given you? See, God's given you much. God's giving you resources. God's giving you abilities. God's giving you unique gifts, or a unique gift that you should release into the world. But have you released it? Do you know what it is? Do you realize that because you were created by God in his image, do you realize that that says that you are from God? That says that if you are from God and you are created in his image, then there are things about you, things about God that's in you. But you got to be the change. But in order to be the change, you got to expect. So you got to expect that change is going to come. It's kind of like, I'm going to tell you, as I wrap this up, in 2013, I experienced something that I can't say that I was expecting. I was not expecting my brothers to die. I wasn't expecting it. But about a month before his death, God sent me into grief. I didn't know why. I was crying. I was like, why am I crying, God? But he didn't answer me. He didn't tell me why. He just says, you'll be all right. So I'm crying. And I would hear there was like 3 songs. I can't remember the names of the songs offhand, but there were 3 songs that I listened to. And anytime I heard those songs, it made me go into this feeling of tragedy, this feeling of, I don't know what's going to happen. But what he was doing was showing me a dream. See, a dream that recently fulfilled itself. I'm not even talking about the fact that my brother died, and then when he died, he showed me why he sent me into grief. But just this week, right now, as I'm sharing this with you, he's sharing with me that, see, to plan, see, you just can't plan for the good. You got to plan for the bad. And the bad is, death. You got to plan for death. If your parents are still living, you got to plan in your mind that they're going to die. And they're probably going to die before me because they're older than I am. They're going to die before me. So you got to plan. You got to see, man, death is coming. I'm going to be able to get through it because I'm going to see it before I get there. I'm going to handle it before I get there. Maybe you cry now. Go ahead and cry now. Get that out. So when it happens, it's an experience that you've already dealt with. This is something that he shared with me just this week through someone else. And I was just like, man, this is what I've missed. When I went through what I went through, now I got through it because he showed me that he sent me into grief already. And so he showed me that I got you on this. You don't have to worry about that. I've already conquered death, so you're good. But now he's showing me, you gotta live this in your mind. You gotta see it. But in order to see it, you gotta be the change. So you gotta be the change that others will start to see and say, you know what? That's something that's a way of thinking that's worth digging into. But here's the thing. In Isaiah chapter 43, verse 19, it says, I'm going to do a new thing. Now, God didn't say I'm going to change, but he said I'm going to do a new thing in you. What's that new thing? What's the new thing that's going to be in you that God's going to do? I'm going to tell you. That text was for me. I'm going to do a new thing in you. He created in me or showed me something new that I thought was new, but really it was old. He had already shown it to me when I was in 8th grade. He showed me that I'd be in front of people. He showed me that I wouldn't need notes. Man, I'm starting to get a little nervous about that. Speaking, I already have my notes. Well, I have them, but he showed me that you'll be able to speak from the heart. You know it. Preparing you. But you got a plan. That's why I'm doing this broadcast today. I wanted to run through this real quick because I've got way more than I'm going to say. But here's the thing, guys. Being the change as we wrap this up. There's three things. There's three things you gotta do when being the change. Number one, you gotta focus on your opportunities. You gotta focus on them. And these are not new. I'm not talking about, what are my opportunities? No. Okay. What situations, circumstances have I been dealing with? And so now that you're dealing with circumstances, think about the circumstances. We talk about these: financial, health. You got to focus on doing better in those areas, because that's what he's asking you to do. Hey, man, your money's messed up. You need to focus on that. You need to get better there. You got to focus on it. Number two, you got to change how you think about change. It's nothing like a person that says, man, I'm just happy with how things are. That's a person that needs to change. It's nothing like a person or people that are always constantly saying, I just want to be comfortable. That's a person that needs to change how they think about change. See, because if you weren't made to change, you have never been born. You have never been born if you weren't made to change. You were made to change simply by being born. It showed you that, you're a baby, you got to grow. You got to grow physically. You got to grow mentally. You got to grow in every single area. That's what it shows. But here's the thing. When people grow up, they forget that they got to grow. And so then they don't know how to change. So you got to change how you think about change. Last point, number 3, then I'm going to let you go. You got to expect change. See, expecting change is what I was just talking about in knowing that the tragedy is coming. Knowing that someone's going to die soon. And if someone's going to die, I should prepare myself for death. So I prepare myself mentally to deal with it now. So if I need to cry today, I need to get in a state to allow myself to grieve for the person today. So that when it happens, I can keep myself together. I do not go crazy. I am not a basket case. I am not in a constant state of worry. I am not, looking up to God saying, God, I can't believe you did this, when God doesn't do anything except do everything for your good. All things work together for your good is what he says in the word. So you must expect change. And there's a bunch of points that I'm going to make on this. I'm not going to do it right here on this broadcast, but you got to expect change, and then you got to respond. See, there are ways to respond to change, and I'm going to go through that in the talk today, but you got to know how to respond to change. See, because if you expect change and you understand that change is coming, your kids are going to change, you're going to change, your marriage is going to change, like I'm talking about, your health is going to change, your finances is going to change, your work is going to change, your business is going to change, like everything's going to change. And then when you expect to change, and then you respond properly to change by initiating change, because that's really the final step. Initiate change. Be the change maker. Be the change. That's what you have to do. So the 3 points you take: focus on the opportunities, change how you think about change, and number 3, expect to change. Be an initiator. Be the initiator. Be the change. All right, guys, God bless you. I got to jump off. I got to get myself together so I can get out of here. But look, I look forward to being back here tomorrow. Look, if you got value from this program and you're watching this, look, tell me what you think. Give me some feedback. Let me know. Ask me some questions. All right, guys, I look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow. God bless you. Take care.